Hello, and welcome back to Beast Fables, a weekly show where we follow the lives of tiny animals in a massive forest. I'm Brian, and I will be your narrator for today's adventure. I use he/him pronouns, and I'm the founder of Dungeons on a Dime, a publishing imprint creating entry-level tabletop role-playing game content. You can find some of the awesome games I make, such as Adventures on a Dime, the system we are playing, and Vice and Virtue, something that we'll be having a little feature today, maybe, and everything else that I do on Roll20 and on my website at doad.co.uk. I am joined today by three lovely returning guests, Ver, Atlanta, and Eve. I'm going to say Atlanta because you're at the top of my screen. Why don't you introduce yourself first?
Hello, everybody. I am Atlanta. I use she/her pronouns. I'm a sort of freelance illustratory type person, and I am reprising my role as Pipistrel, resident emo bat. And I'm excited. E-bat.
E-bat.
Up next, we have Ver.
Hello, everybody. I am Ver. I use they, them pronouns. I am a comic artist and illustrator, and I really liked the phrase that Atlanta used, reprise. So today, I too am reprising a role of Balthazar of Blueberry Pond, a courageous toad knight and mud fury, who is here to stay for a long time, I hope. Hypothermia.
I mean, you're covered in mud and you're furious, so...
So I'm not going
you
anywhere.
did it.
Yeah, that's true. He's more kind of hopeful and furious right now, but he's definitely covered in mud, so he's halfway there.
Muddy and furious.
So, for the third guest we have today, we have Eve.
Hello, I'm Eve. I use they and he pronouns, and I am playing Thistle, a still mysterious lizard. And hopefully this time I won't have any technical difficulties and I can actually play.
Yeah.
Yes, you may have noticed that Thistle's portrait is not animated and speaking, which is a shame, but we still have Thistle's lovely face on screen, which is ultimately the best compromise.
Yes.
Yeah, who would like to remind us of the casual and light-hearted events of last game?
I will carry the story to the continuation. Try to do a Frodo thing. Just didn't quite work out. Yeah, I can take it upon myself.
Thank you, Ver.
Take it away.
All right. So, last time... Well, shall I actually start from the kind of all context for the event, or just last episode?
Just last episode.
Just last episode. All right. So we picked up at... we actually picked up... we didn't pick up quite at Balthazar getting suddenly attacked by a cat. However, I think to kind of condense all the events, all of our characters found themselves joining together. Suddenly I'm lost for words. All of our characters found themselves convening at the ruins of this old castle and confronting what was likely once a denizen of the castle, a cat known to us, the players, as Feral Gwen. A beast who, despite his kind of malicious demeanor, seemed to be still quite cunning and have some kind of intention behind his action, though these intentions definitely seemed ill. Our characters, all of our toads, both player characters and non-player characters, jumped into battle against Gwen, who had cornered Balthazar initially. And soon Pipistrel joined the fray. Sorry, I had to take a sip of water because my throat suddenly got really scratchy. Pipistrel joined the fray as well, while Thistle watched on from a safe vantage point during this scuffle with Feral Gwen. He had managed to get a few really bad hits in on Balthazar. He once again seemed to be a very formidable opponent, who also got the better of one of Balthazar's toad comrades, Quincy, who, in a just series of very bad thrashings, was slammed against a wall and did not get up. And it was at that point that Thistle made their presence known, slithering down into the fray and doing their best to assess and help Quincy, trying to stem the increasing flow of blood that was escaping his motionless body. And as things started to really go southward, the commander of our little troop of Mud Furies, Commander Bethany, told everybody to retreat as she will hold Feral Gwen off. She seemed to hold her own against him as everybody collected themselves and their comrades, Liminal snatching up a pinned down Pipistrel, Thistle dragging away Quincy, and Balthazar kind of backing away, making sure that everyone will be able to leave before Feral Gwen might catch wind of the retreat. And then all of us stepped out of the ruins of the castle, and we kind of had a moment of consternation, not really sure if we're going back, if we're going in. Thistle managed to look over Quincy and realize that he is dead, in fact, and there's nothing else that they can do for him. This fact, however, if I remember correctly at least, it wasn't as directly communicated as Thistle just said, I can't do anything for him now, which Balthazar just understood as, we gotta get him out of here, and he'll be fine. As we were all kind of dawdling in front of the ruins of the castle, we heard Commander Bethany's voice speak out to us, telling us to flee. And Balthazar kind of took reign of our little motley group and decided that we, rather than circumvent around the river, shall walk it like true mud furies. Well, I suppose Pipistrel, being an airborne creature, could simply fly over it, but the rest of us, landlubbers, were required to make it across these rapids. Liminal took Thistle into his arms. Balthazar grabbed Quincy's body, and they marched through the cold and rapid currents of this river here, surrounding this little island. Through a series of checks, we managed to stave off the sleepiness that would normally encompass us cold-blooded creatures. And we managed to make it to the other side, tired, but alive. Thistle very quickly retreated to sleep, spurred by the cold temperatures telling their body that it is time to rest. Balthazar and Liminal were still conscious, though very much numbed, and Pipistrel, who had been eagerly and anxiously awaiting for our arrival, started scurrying around collecting branches and other things that she could use to light a fire to warm us up. And we kind of finished the campaign on the note of Balthazar telling the dead Quincy that he shouldn't worry, we'll get him up soon.
It was just so heartbreaking.
And on that lovely, positive, inspiring note, I just want to say thank you to Roll20 for sponsoring this episode and being the platform of choice that we play on. It's got custom character sheets for Adventures on a Dime, which we will see in action today, and we are very thankful for their sponsorship and help.
Hell yeah.
Starting this game off, I think that is exactly where we pick up. You sort of, Balthazar, you put down Quincy's form onto the ground. And I'm actually going to say you're not that muddy. You've walked out of the river, so your feet are muddy. But, like, you're, aside from being wet and quite cold as the wind is chilling you, and having that, now in contrast, like, burning stone in your throat, that fire gizzard given to you earlier in the evening. you're quite clean. Quincy doesn't look at all like all of the blood is gone, all of like the gore from the fight, the mud. It's just clear, fresh.
Yeah, he's gonna be good. It's the blood flow has stemmed. Obviously, Thistle has done the right job there. And Balthazar is just thinking, okay, well, we just have to get this good boy warmed up, and he'll wake right up.
Pipistrel, you've got a fire going. I'm going to say you just do that.
Yeah.
And it kind of gutters and sputters in the wind. You have to sort of like put your wings out to sort of shelter it and be like a little bat tent for the fire.
Yeah, I like to imagine that she's kind of flapping her wings a little bit just to kind of fan the flames to kind of keep them alive. And
you definitely don't have to flap your wings. The wind is quite strong.
Oh, okay, that's good then.
You're protecting it from being completely blown out.
Ah, okay, I got you.
And slowly, like warmth starts to radiate from the fire. I'm gonna say, if you wait a couple minutes, the fire will build to a size where you could all start to huddle around it.
Yeah. Where is Thistle at the moment? Like, where have they kind of...
Thistle has been placed down on the ground by Limnol.
Okay. Are they close enough that they might feel the fire on their body and help them wake up?
No, but the fire isn't big. You haven't waited yet.
Okay, that's fine.
So if you want to, you guys wait.
Well, yeah, because Quincy needs it, obviously. So Balthazar's gonna kind of make sure to lay Quincy down so he can feel the warmth of this kindling fire, and will himself actually walk closer to the edge of the river and look out with his extremely superior toad eyes upon the castle to see if he sees any movement or any indicator of Bethany or Gwen.
So, I want you to make 2 rolls for me. The first is your wakefulness and strength of mind as you are in the wind and you're cold and there's no heat source and you're still soaking wet.
You have my fire gizzard?
Your fire gizzard will give you advantage, but how are you trying to stave off the cold? Or like resist it? Resist the urge to sleep that Thistle has given into?
Yeah, well, because I can't like move around because I'm cold-blooded. But I suppose actually what he can do is kind of huddle down so his limbs are like, super close to his body. Basically, if he can kind of expand his croak pouch and kind of like just kind of become like a little, not balloon, but like a little blob to...
You're sort of reducing the surface area the wind can touch.
Exactly. That, and also then, because more of his body's concentrated around the fire gizzard. Gizzard, yeah.
Buzzard?
Like an organ.
Buzzard.
Okay, gizzard. I don't know what a gizzard is as an organ, in the first place, I will admit. But yeah, he's just kind of trying to also huddle as much of his body around that interior source of warmth.
The gizzard is like the back of the stomach.
Oh.
So like, yeah, this is some strange Titan organ that has just not gone off.
Yeah.
No idea how it works, other than you press it, you snap it, and it goes from sort of like this soft, gooey pouch to like crystalline hard, and it just radiates warmth for hours.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably what all mammals have in them somewhere. So
yeah,
yeah.
All of the warm blood
later.
Yeah.
Warm blood. Well, there are no non-warm blood mammals, I don't think so. Birds are maybe different. I don't know.
I don't think either. Anyway, so you huddle down. I want you to make a vigor roll at advantage for me.
I will do that.
A routine instinct is just to, crouch down, huddle.
I am very vigorous. I think the adrenaline is still rushing through his system, and he is vigilant and ready for action.
So I feel like you're just, with 2 critical successes, you are very keen mind and focused, and you're, like, that adrenaline, that sentience, has completely suppressed all natural urges and instincts. So now I want you to describe what you're looking for at the castle. Because you're looking for motion, but how are you looking for it?
Well, I think it's that, as part of this, kind of focus that he has, he's sort of like, it looks like he's just staring into the distance, but he's basically, you can do that thing where you like stare at the distance, and then if there's like a slight movement, you register it better because you're not looking at different aspects of things, but just kind of makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it, but basically I think it's just like this very patient kind of keeping the castle in his general field of view and being very present, so he picks up any sign of movement that he can.
Partly because of the critical success, and partly because I'm being quite forgiving, I'm going to let you do a vigor roll for this as opposed to a cunning roll, because while it is relying on your senses, I feel like watching and observing in this specific way is something you would have done a lot as a Mud Fury, and so it'd be more reliant on talents rather than... I was
trying to angle it as a
vigor.
Vigor. There you go.
Yeah, oh my god, could you imagine? My talents are Cancer, Virgo, and Gemini Moon.
I never understood that meme. The like rising something. I never understood that. I'm just disclaiming that now.
Okay.
So,
we'll have a session. We'll have a session after this.
Explain it. Yeah. Thank you.
Roll vigor, just straight for me, unless you tag something.
A crit for there. Come on.
So.
Oh wait, you said I could have tagged something.
You could have tagged.
I forgot,
yeah, well,
but I didn't.
on.
I was just. Yeah,
you were eager.
Moving on, whatever.
So, you are watching the castle, and in the few minutes that it takes for the fire to get going, and Limnal sort of slowly and kind of not crunchily, but in that sort of like jerkily way of like a very cold creature, moves their way towards the fire. You see utter stillness from the castle. You're not sure. Well, actually, no, Pepperstraw, you're exactly sure how long they were in the river for. They were in the river for like a minute or 2. Or maybe even 3. Like, it took them a while to get across, especially with the flow. And Pepperstraw, retroactively, I want you to make a cunning roll for me to see how much you would have kept your eyes on the castle and heard.
Am I allowed to tag something?
What do you want to tag?
Retroactively. Can I tag my my staying alert? So she's kind of hovering. So she's hovering over the, hovering over stuff and also observing things.
You had a bit of advantage as well.
Yeah. Did you say cunning or vigor?
Cunning.
Cunning. Okay. Okay. Ooh.
So that's a 7 and a 3. So we're going to go with 7. You do as well as you can. You heard the continued fighting from inside the castle, mostly because I'm just going to click it on the map, but like there's a large hole in the roof. And then the fighting sounded like it moved somewhere else in the castle, and you lost... you couldn't hear it anymore. I was going to say you lost sight of it, but you didn't see it, you heard it. So you lost hearing of it.
Ears of it.
Yeah.
I feel as though... I mean, I know we're talking retroactively here, but I feel like Pip would have found that a little bit unnerving. Like, she can't sort of hear them, but then she would have just... Focus would have been then back on the river and making sure that they all got out okay.
I think, like, that's... At that point, you then got distracted by, like, them emerging from the river, you kind of gathering and making this fire. I think maybe you would have, like, gathered the fire ready for them as they would have emerged to, like, save time.
So. Yeah.
And now you're on the other side of the river. I'm going to say at this point now, the fire is warm enough that, like, Liminal has moved closer, and has got a little bit of, like, heat flushed onto his skin. And you notice that his eyes, which were once glazed, are now a little bit more alert. And he sort of turns around and goes back and drags Thistle closer to the fire as well.
Oh, good, because I was actually about to ask one of the toads if they could do that. Because, no. We need to wake Thistle up. So I'd say,
what do Pipistrel and Balthazar, what do you want to do now? in the next few moments and minutes?
I think Pip at the moment, because she's surrounded by all these cold-blooded creatures. She can't relate to what it's like to suddenly have all of your energy taken away from you because you're cold. Like, she's chilly because it's a windy night, but she has her fur, she has her flight suit, she has her hood. Like, she's cozy right now, and she has fire. So I think she's kind of, she is like sitting kind of alert. She's not relaxing. She's sitting kind of alert, watching all of like the two toads and the lizard, to see like who needs what. Like, do they need more warmth, or do they need, do we need to find some food? Do we need to find some shelter? That kind of thing. She's just really observing at the moment.
Balthazar?
Sorry, I just had this mental image of... Wait, am I muted? No.
No, you're not here.
I just had this... Because I muted myself a little bit ago. I just had this mental image of Limnol being like, okay, gotta get this lizard over, and grabbing Thistle by the tail, and the tail just...
Oh, God!
Being like,
Oh,
That's not good, friends. Do not take the tails off of your friends. Please,
No.
please no.
I love that.
very rude. Poor Thistle. They didn't ask for this.
yeah. Anyway, sorry. I think Balthazar, after a few moments of not seeing that movement and kind of, he can't be really sure what that means. Sorry, he can't be sure what that means. He's going to pad back to the fire, and kind of crouch down next to Quincy, and he's just gonna extend his, the way that a person warms themselves, extend his hands and face towards the warmth, and kind of look over at Quincy and give him a few pats,
Oh,
the pats are killing me.
God, this is
So,
making this
I feel
so
like
sad.
the difficulty for you is actually kneeling down. Your armor, you realize now as you kind of take the moment in, you can crouch, but your armor's ruined from the cat's attacks. It's dented and it's ripped. There's a pretty clear shear down one side where if you kind of you put your hand on it and you're like, oh, that's actually a really sharp edge. That's torn metal. And Limnol is now sort of I don't think had as much adrenaline, or in the way that you had the adrenaline, Limnol didn't. Limnol kind of suscepted to that, and with the warmth is now coming back and becoming more and more clear. It sort of looks up and says, Balthazar, we made it across the river. Should we should we return to the castle for the commander?
I think Balthazar will kind of turn to Pipistrel and say, Pipistrel, in the time that we were gone, did you see or hear anything at all?
She sort of perks up a little bit, and turns to Balthazar and says, well, I heard fighting from that main area that we were in, but then maybe they moved further into the castle. I don't know. I was too fixated on the river. And she kind of looks a little bit apologetic. Kind of, yeah.
yeah, of course. I think Balthazar kind of considers this and nods and says, well, our mission here was to... Actually, because our mission here was to uncover what happened, right? Here, in this, why it was abandoned?
So
okay, and any traces
your mission,
of Kned.
Your mission, and I'll say this out loud, is to find any evidence of collusion or meddling from the Noahs and from Magpies.
Yeah, okay. So, I think Balthazar will muse, when I spoke out to that cat, I asked if he's influenced by the lies of Kned, and he didn't have any recognition to anything that I said. But we met line finder, Flynn.
Flynn.
We've met that convoy of cats before. They're fine folk. They do not attack and hunt like that. Something
Pipistrel.
sinister happened here.
You have a spark of memory, and by instinct go to your notebook, which you've made notes in about your journey as well. Your previous journey with Balthazar in the summer. And you flick through your notes, and you realise that you've done a crude enough drawing of the cats that you met. You don't recognise any of the cats that you drew there, but you do recognise one of the earrings.
Oh, that's interesting. I think she probably would have drawn this just kind of... Would this have been something I just kind of like found or something? Or was this like someone I have seen wearing this earring?
So, do you remember that cat convoy you met in the last campaign?
Yes.
The cat they were escorting, the one in the carriage, wore an earring in one of their ears with a gold... It was a gold earring, teardrop with a blue stone set in it. And you recognise the cat in this castle, having just fought it, had two gold earrings in the same ear with blue set stones and a chest plate with similarly gold blue set stones.
Ooh. I think she kind of stares at this little drawing, and she kind of like furrows her little bat brow, and then she kind of, like, still holding it in her weird little fingers, like she takes it over to Balthazar and says, like, "Does this look familiar to you?" And she shows him the drawing of the earring.
Yeah, and I think, especially in those last moments when Commander Bethany, she was striking around that jewelry, and that seemed to really affect the cat. So Balthazar would kind of have that, like, you know, flashback, like, oh, we see the same scene, and it's like, it was just the other episode, we know. And his eyes kind of light up, and he says, "Why, by the stars, that does look like the crest worn by that by that feral cat that we had encountered. Perhaps they are of the same home or lineage. I don't understand. The ones that we met in the convoy were nothing like this. Someone must have meddled here."
I think at this point, Thistle, you're starting to wake up. Sleep for the cold-blooded comes in two ways. You've got a conscious, like, you're trying to sleep, where you're able to dream, and then there's this cold sleep where you sort of, the world recedes around you into just a dull blue-grey, and as if you've walked backwards into a tunnel, or been, not dragged, but just flowed back into a tunnel. And you feel that tunnel leaving and space opening around you, and sensation coming back to your limbs. And like a daydream, you're now by this campfire, half damp, half dry, in your robes and your bag and things like that.
I think this will be very confused right now. I think I'm would I be right in saying, like, there's sort of, you know, when you accidentally nap and you wake up and you have a moment of, like, wait, where the hell am I?
Like, what?
It's also like that sense of, like, when you go to have a nap but you wake up more tired.
Yeah. I'm very like fuzzy-headed right now.
In the weirdest way, though, because it's like, it's not sleep, it's just a lethargy. I feel like maybe you've heard this entire conversation, but it's sort of like sleep paralysis. It's just sort of come in and you acknowledge it, but you're sort of like, oh wait, it's real. Like, yeah, like
I'm slowly tuning into what's happening, and then I realize the voices are actually right next to me. It's not just like thoughts in my head. And I think I do the lethargic, sluggish equivalent of startling awake, which is just like making the smallest possible grunt and just kind of like twitching ever so slightly.
Yeah.
Does Does Pip hear the grunt of Thistle waking up?
Yeah, you guys can see this.
Okay, good.
You see me twitch.
Does Pip want to react in any way? Because Balthazar would be like, yeah, okay, this person who was healing is up. Okay, take care of Quincy. So does Pip want to say anything?
I think before Balthazar jumps in, I think Pip is like on her feet and goes over to Thistle, and just kind of like crouches down in front of them and just and gently asks them like, "Are you all right?"
Oh, you a stitcher?
She shakes her head. No, but I'm a friend.
All right. That's about as much interest in this that I can muster.
Oh.
But I think it is by virtue of Pipistrel striking up this conversation with Thistle that Balthazar realizes that Thistle is up. Balthazar kind of like on slightly stiff, legs, stiff knees, kind of gets up and says, "Ho, cold-blooded cousin! You were helping Quincy. He's all warmed up now. You said you'll be.
Right. A bit quiet, come on.
Balthazar definitely like grabs Thistle like under their little armpits, just like
God.
lift them up like a little child, just like
I
they're
feel
very
like-
long. They're a very long child.
Well, it's like when you pick up a cat and it goes from being like very small
Yeah,
to
yeah,
like
yeah.
So much
Slinky out.
body.
Yeah, well, they just want to get them on their feet, and kind of like have picking them up, have dragging them, because he's very eager. He said, on the other bank, you said that you won't be able to help him now, but now that we're out of immediate danger, if you can patch him up, make sure that he's safe, we would be able to go back and to see the results of the bat. Yes, please.
Yeah. I think Thistle doesn't understand that Balthazar is referring to Quincy, probably just thinks there's another injured toad needing
Yeah.
looked after.
Oh.
So I'm going to stumble my way over, just sort of like, rubbing sleep from my eyes, just shake myself awake a wee bit. And I'll crouch down next to the toad. Right, what's going on? Where is it? What's he needing? Like patting around to investigate.
I'm gonna say like you crouch down next to the toad, who like the it kind of comes back to you, and you're now like fully conscious that it's kind of gone. You feel the lethargy in like the back of your head, like a headache, but like it's gone from like your ability to function.
Right.
And you realize like, yep, the same toad, still dead. There is like a little pool of water where like it's kind of soaked out of like the clothing and stuff, and where it pools in the armor. And you see that the armor is mostly undamaged. There seems to have there's like a slight nick in the top of the armor near the neck where a claw has gone in and seems to have just cut the inside and just got an artery and done. And you look at this and you have that confirmation of like literally there was nothing that could have been done. And
in my mind,
it's a strange clarity.
The clinical part of my mind is like, yep, dead toad. But I'm
there's in the
But
slight,
your
and this is
bedside manner.
I do have
This is-
I do have bedside manner. I will.
I will say there is a very slight in the back of your head, a little voice that is a Stitcher's voice, not just the clinical voice, but there's specifically a Stitcher's Guild voice that says, "Interesting. I should probably be useful to have a sketch of this. I've never seen a toad before."
I rest a little claw on his chest, and I look up at Balthazar and say, "Mate, I'm so sorry. He's gone. There's nothing I can do."
But the other bank, you said that you'll be able to do something. You can't do something for him now, so you could do something later. Yes. Now.
Not in this situation, I'm afraid. The cut was too deep. You can see here. It's just. I'm very sorry for your loss. We can't do anything more for him.
I think Balthazar just kind of stands looking at Quincy. And he says, was it quick?
It was absolutely. He wouldn't have felt a thing. Very fast. can see I bend in, and I am absolutely sure that this poor toad bled out and was in a lot of pain. But I'm just gonna like sort of pat around the wound, be like, very quick. I can see, because I can see how distraught Balthazar is. Very quick, absolute instantaneous.
Well, if there's
I feel like Limnol kind of steps up beside you, Balthazar, and says, "Oh, that is a terrible shame."
I'm gonna.
But we need to make a decision as to whether we're going back for the commander or not. This is not a safe space, and we need a decision.
Yes. Well, if I thought that Quincy would be a priority, but I suppose he's in elsewhere now. Yes, our objective does remain the same, and besides, now that we've rendezvoused and collected ourselves, and we know the danger within the castle, we cannot let that creature remain here. Anyone else who comes here, and what if it escapes? It is our duty to find out what happened. And if we have to put that creature down in the process, we shall.
So we return? We're returning to the castle. We'll attempt an ambush to take it by surprise.
Yes. Yes, we return.
Yes. And he nods.
Yeah, sorry.
He nods and immediately starts, he kind of like turns you around and starts unbuckling your broken armor.
Yeah, and I think Balthazar kind of takes a moment and then looks down at Quincy's more or less pristine armor and kind of like nods to himself like, we gotta be practical about this. He doesn't need it anymore. He doesn't say anything though.
Yeah.
I feel like when the toads talk about putting down the cat, that startles Thistle. That's not a concept familiar to me. What do you mean putting down an animal? Putting down another beast?
Does Thistle ask that, or is that Thistle just thinking to themselves?
Very, very like stand up and just kind of look. And now I'm like, while the toads are having a conversation, I'm scanning you, looking for a familiar guild crest. Trying to work out what are these toads up to. I think I'll look towards Pipistrelle as well to see what her reaction to that sort of disgusting comment would have been.
I think, like, in a weird way, Pip is kind of in the same boat as Thistle. Like, she's never heard Balthazar say things like that before. Like, she looks quite shocked, actually. She kind of looks at Thistle, and I think maybe might also see the shock there too. I think kind of while the toads are like sort of dealing with the armor and stuff, I think she kind of like she sort of moves her head slightly to Thistle to gesture like come over here for a second. I think we need to have a chat. I feel like they're both a little bit out of their depth right now.
Yeah, this is not.
So Balthazar and Limnol are sort of like removing Balthazar's broken armor, and they are respectfully kind of removing Quincy's armor to put onto Balthazar. Quincy's of a similar age to you, Balthazar, and of a similar size. So while it might chafe in a couple places, it's not uncomfortable or bad.
No, he's likely a little larger than me. I think I'm the youngest of them all.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Like it's slightly larger, so it's like doesn't fit perfectly, but it's not bad enough that it's like you're in like armor that's 5 times the size of you, and you're like, I'm in a tank now.
I will also, I will also just say that as you know, they are kind of stripping away the armor, and it is taken off, like with a sure hand, but still a degree of gentle reverence. Balthazar does like kind of put like Quincy's arms like kind of crossed on his chest, holding his sword, like he's being kind of laid down in a way that you would respectfully lay down a body. Despite this kind of armor swap, but he's still treated
something
with respect.
that happens.
This isn't just like
Yeah.
puppet, like.
Something that Liminal does is he takes the tip of his flycatcher, and you notice that as you're kind of disrobing the armor from Quincy, Liminal finds a patch, like an area of Liminal finds an area of Quincy's tunic that has been embroidered, and actually cuts that off and then slips it into his belt. This isn't something that you had known was a thing that Mud Furies did, or this is because you've never seen someone die.
Yeah.
So you didn't
a
know
Mud
this
Fury.
is a
I've
thing.
seen many other toads die.
Yeah.
In the Boar Wars.
Oh,
But-
yeah.
But this might be a Mud Fury thing.
And there's a strange sense of, like, Liminal doesn't hide that he's doing this from you, but he does do it with his body blocking Pipistrel and Thistle. There's a sense of, like, inclusion in this ritual.
Yeah. Real quick, that embroidery, can I catch, like, did it have any, anything to do with, like, brambles or berries? Like, does it have something to do with the log?
Yes. What do you think Quincy would have embroidered as, like, a personal
well,
symbol?
Quincy was from Bramble Dam, wasn't he?
Bramble Log.
Bramble Log, sorry. So I think, let me quickly Google brambles. I think...
In the meantime, have a look up and think about what that crest would have been. That's what you'll do, and then we're going to have a little scene with Pipistrel and Thistle. You guys walk maybe a few paces away, or Thistle walks away, and Pipistrel, you're kind of motioned over. This changing of armor will take a few minutes because there's buckles, there's straps. They have to respectfully move Quincy. Like, you guys are away from the fire. You're mostly dry. Have your conversation.
Care to catch me up on what's going on here, then?
Pip sort of looks a bit kind of taken aback, but kind of replies with, I think I know about as much as you do. They just happened across me in the town nearby the castle, and she kind of points to the little shack, or at least in the direction of the shack that they found her in.
Oh, do you live there?
I mean, it was a sort of semi-permanent home for the time being, I guess. I didn't expect this, though. She kind of gestures back to the castle.
You ever work up there at the castle?
No, it was in ruin when I got here. I think it's been in ruin for a while, perhaps.
I sit back with a considerable disappointment. I had a brief moment of excitement, but...
I think Pip registers the disappointment and asks, like, well, what are you doing here? In the nicest way possible.
I've been sent from the Stitches of Holdall. There, I pause for applause.
I think Pip looks suitably impressed and is like, oh, of course you're a Stitcher. Why here though? Why would the Stitchers send you to an abandoned castle? Surely they didn't think that you would find beasts in there to stitch.
No, I wave my claws very grandly at the castle. Home of one of the biggest libraries there was here. Was, definitely. It's gone now, but I've been sent to try and find some information for the Stitchers, bringing back all this information we lost in the fire. Nothing there now, though.
Oh, so you were here for a library?
Yeah, biggest library there was. Not really sure what happened, but it wasn't good.
Oh, clearly. I think she's still holding her notebook. And I think she doesn't know Thistle yet, but she's certainly intrigued by them. So she kind of opens the notebook and shows them the page with the earring on it. And sort of quite candidly just says, like, does this earring mean anything to you? And she sort of points to it.
So I'm gonna just come in with 2 points. First of all, Pipistrel, you, in case you, Atlanta, didn't remember,
yes.
What Thistle is saying rings true with your conversations with Hiccup. many
Oh,
months
yeah!
ago. Hiccup mentioned that the Stitchers are a little bit disbanded right now after the burning of Holdall and the loss of their guild hall.
Of course. Okay, yes, thank you
He
for
seemed
reminding me of
quite
that.
shy talking about it and didn't really talk much about Holdall and what had happened there. So that's one thing. A second thing, just because it just happened, Thistle, you do recognize this ring? Do you want me to this earring? Do you want me to remind you where?
I think I know, but please just remind me just in case.
The tapestries in the room you were sleeping
Yes.
in?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
I squint at it. How good is your drawing?
Well, I mean, I would assume she's been doing this for a couple of months now. But more like I think she's pretty good at drawing at this stage.
I say actually you're pretty good. You grew up in a tailor shop. You would have had to draw like it's not the prettiest. It's very functional, but like it has some character.
I'm gonna. I know lizards and reptiles aren't the most expressive of creatures, but if you're familiar with lizards, you would recognize like a little flash of like, oh, all right, I'm impressed. Having seen many an anatomical drawing, anyone who can draw is like, all right. I think Thistle would characterize or like categorize everyone they met based on the skills that they have. So constantly comparing themselves to others. Right, so it's the earring. Yeah, actually I have, There was a big tapestry back in the castle. One of the cats was wearing that, I think.
Pip looks back down at the drawing and it kind of confirms her suspicion of where she first saw the earring. And like she looks back over to the two toads who I think are probably still doing their armor.
Yeah.
But she kind of looks back to Thistle and sort of says quietly, "Is like, I think they're looking for something." And she says that while looking at the toads, and like she looks at Balthazar, kind of sadly, because like, and I imagine I think Thistle seems like the kind of the kind of beast that is pretty observant and like they would probably notice that, but like she said like she sort of composes herself and says like I don't know why and I don't know for what purpose they could be searching this castle, but it has something to do must have something to do with some sort of with a cat family. And I think she'd go on to explain, like a couple of months ago or whatever it was, that when she and Balthazar and Ludson had been traveling, that they came across that cat caravan with the other sort of fancy cat with the earring. And she sort of would finish that by saying, like, I don't know if that would be of any help to you, but maybe they know something more about this library that you were looking for.
Maybe. I mean, the library itself is gone. That's what I really wanted, but worth a shot. I looking around at the toads. What guild are they from?
She shrugs. I thought they were both from a toad log. Those toad settlements.
Oh right.
But they don't. There's something different about him now. In reference to Balthazar, it's like he doesn't. He's not wearing his tabard anymore, and I don't know where his hammer's gone. Like she's almost talking to herself at this point.
Yeah.
She's really confused. It's like I assume they must be with a log somehow, but I don't know what all this is. And she kind of gestures to the armor and to the swords, like the flycatchers. I think she vaguely remembered the name. She's like. Pipistrelle is an incredibly curious little beastie, so she's dying with curiosity as to what is going on with the Balthazar, but she's also there's a little trickle of fear in there as well. She's like, she's thinking I don't think I know my friend anymore. Like, what is happening?
So, I think at this point the armor is almost finished. You see, they're doing the last couple straps. Is there anything you want to say in closing to each other?
I think Thistle would just be like, well, what about you? Where are you from?
I think Pip, she doesn't answer, but then just very quietly, just says, nowhere. And she starts walking back towards the boats.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun dun dun.
So
Drama.
dramatic!
It is at this point. It's been maybe half an hour by the side of the fire from when you first emerged from the river. A gentle spittle of drizzle is starting to fall. More clouds are blowing into the sky.
Mm-hmm.
And you hear Pipistrel, because you're the first to hear, you hear clattering.
Ooh, what kind of clattering?
From the top of the castle.
Does it sound like armor?
It sounds like armor, sounds like stone. You hear noises.
I think she
from
does...
one of the towers.
Yeah, she does the thing that when Pip hears something intriguing, like, she stops and her ears go very, like, upright, and they start twitching. And, like, her face goes very blank. And, she's now listening incredibly intently and standing very still, which probably looks a bit weird, but...
You all hear it, and then see it. You're sort of caught off guard, but you hear a sort of a yell.
No!
Like a... And then a massive shadow comes out of the top of the tower nearest the water.
Oh.
And falls into the river. There is a massive splash.
Did he just get Balrogged?
Wow!
Balthazar, you look over. There is thrashing in the water. I'm going to make a little mark here. And the current of the river is rapidly pushing it down.
Oh god.
Is it cat-shaped or Bethany-shaped?
Cat-sized. And it's struggling. So you could assume Bethany is there as well.
Oh.
Okay. Oh god. Balthazar will quickly kind of snap over to Pipistrel. Not like vocally snap, but like his head. He says, Pipistrel, can you take to the air? Survey the situation.
She doesn't even question it. She's off.
Yeah.
I think Limnol doesn't hesitate. He just charges into the water.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Towards the struggling forms.
Yeah, because they would be like on the current, right? Like this is fairly.
Yeah.
How deep? Like, would the cat be able to touch the bottom of the?
No. This is a big river.
Okay.
It is several cats tall.
Okay. Here's a fun question. Does Quincy? He still has the fire gizzard, right? If I take it and I double wield fire gizzards, am I just like immune to the water cold?
You have to wait and see.
Liminal
charges into the water. You could charge in after him, or you could turn and get and think and be like, "Crap!" and then grab the fire gizzard out of.
No, so he, you know what? No, because he could burn himself. What he's gonna do is quickly grab the fire gizzard. So he's not gonna go directly after Liminal. He's gonna grab the fire gizzard and throw it to his cold-blooded cousin, which is Thistle.
Oh God!
And just say, the winds are picking up. This will keep you warm. And then like he's gonna like go in the water and say, just don't run away with it, please. And then walk in the water.
Oh my god!
How big is this compared to me?
So it is. It's a slab. I'd say for you, it is probably something you could tuck under your arm, like. Okay. Because you're also a lizard and you're smaller than a toad. Toads also have larger, wider mouths. Like, it's a different kind of perspective. For Balthazar, it's something that could be tucked under his tongue, but his mouth is large and wide, so it makes sense. For you sort of catch this thing, and it is a now that you hold it, and it is at first like, oh god, this is really hot. This is a massive hot stone that's covered in saliva and mouth gunk. And then you go, oh, it's more like lukewarm. The initial shock passes, and you're like, oh. Balthazar, you run into the water. Quincy, only just ahead of you. You get one chance to try and catch, as they pass by, Bethany and the Grief of Shallot. What do you do?
So I love that Gwen's boss name changed to the Grief of Shallot. Second phase, baby. Yeah.
So cool.
So I'm looking at because my dice are diminished. I'm not in a good place, but I'll give it a try. I think Balthazar.
While you think,
what's the
is there anything that
situation?
you're doing?
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'm gonna need a.
Israel?
Oh, sorry. I think I must have missed my name there. What am I doing? Okay.
Yeah.
To
give Verse some time to think.
Of course. So as Balthazar said, Pipistrel take to the sky. She's off. She's flown over to the point in the river that she can hear. Because her night vision is not as good as a toad's. It's not bad, but it's not nearly as good. So she's relying on her ears right now. Exactly, with their sort of 20/20, 40/40 vision or whatever it is.
Yeah, 40/40 vision. They see in the past and the future.
Basically, what she's doing right now is she's kind of not too low over the water, but she is sort of like flying laps round the space because she's trying to hear. She's listening for Bethany particularly, so she's listening specifically for I don't know, metallic sounds of armor or croaks or Bethany yelling or whatever it is. So she's just kind of circling around trying to figure out how best she can help, because she's not going to be strong enough to drag Bethany out herself. She's too small. But she can at least maybe help them, maybe she can attack the cat or something.
Make a cunning check. You're trying to find out information that could be used tactically. That sounds like cunning.
Okay. Yeah. What can I tag? Can I tag my my orientate? Because she's basically flying in circles and trying not to get dizzy. She's kind of flying low and then flying high again and then listening, and she's just trying to keep herself in one spot to kind of be as helpful as possible.
Not say it will not give you advantage, but it will lessen if you do get a hijinks. I'll let that happen.
Okay. Ooh, so just a straight roll then.
Straight roll.
Yes.
Okay, 6 success.
Nice.
You occasionally hear a gargle that is not the cat. And you see a glint of something. It is a hilt. Bethany's sword is fully embedded in the ribs of this cat.
Ooh.
Oh my god!
All the way in.
Oh, yikes.
And you see that as they kind of twist and snarl and turn over in the water.
Mm-hmm. Can I see Bethany at all? Can I see any hint of her armor?
You
or
see
her
that
sword,
she's there, but you don't see enough to know where she is, and they're constantly moving in the water.
Oh man, okay.
I say that you're able to relay this information to Balthazar and Limnal as they are wading in and about to go do their thing. So
yeah,
Balthazar,
at the very least, I think she'd yell the cat is still alive. Is the only thing she could think to yell, just in case it swipes at them or something. Yeah. Sorry.
Well, I think I, the player, will use the information that Atlanta has uncovered, in that if we kind of look over and see it thrashing, and as Pip points, we kind of see it's belly turning, and we see that that sword. What I think, Balthazar and Lindell are just gonna look at each other and nod. I think what we want to do is be able to kind of move up, and then if both of us basically like grab that sword and use our, you know, the weight of our armor and the strength of our bodies to just try to keep it still while the rapids push this cat down.
Oh my god.
We can hopefully get the killing blow finished.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Damn.
Okay, so that is going to be, it sounds like a vigor check for you to try and swim towards the cat. This is your one like moment where you get to catch them as they pass by, so you don't have disadvantage for fighting against the current, nor do you have advantage for swimming with it.
Yes. Can I, because of the very dire kind of we're swimming to kill this thing, can I tag unexpectedly menacing of just like the swimming equivalent of a Terminator run of just like,
Okay.
like we are
if you
going
tag
in
that,
for a kill. Yeah.
if you tag that, you don't get advantage, but I will let you roll willpower.
Ooh.
I think that's better. Statistically, that's
Yeah.
better. I'll do it. I feel I'm gonna get a hijinks. I
Because
just
it's
kind
not
of feel
like
it.
unexpectedly menacing isn't like a skill that is
Yeah.
helping you swim better. It is just a different approach to the skill. Or to this
Honestly,
challenge.
actually, in that case, I want this to work, so I want to find something that will grant me that advantage. In this case, I would like to probably tag my Undaunted feature from my all the way back from my Toad School Squire job of like all that training of like you got to get this done, and you will do it.
Okay, I'll let you roll vigor with advantage then. Actually, no, willpower with advantage. You're tagging lots of your skills. It all makes sense.
Ooh.
Oh, thank you. Oh.
Oh, oh,
That
9. You
Ooh.
swim through the current, carving through the water as fast as you can, using like, you don't have your sword drawn at the moment. I'm going to say you actually have it on your back, because you haven't taken it out, so you have all 4 limbs. You're just sort of like swimming as toads do, like breaststroke, and then the legs are kicking. Liminal is the same behind you. You both reach towards the twisting, rolling body of the cat. You kind of go under the water, and you can see in the kind of the murk and the silt and the twisting, churning bubbles and violence, you see that the cat has Bethany in its front paws, claws dug into the armor, and is trying to like bite her head off, and she's just like holding the jaws to one side.
Oh my god!
No, you do not do that. Wait, was that? So can we execute our thing, or
so
was
you
it
are
to get
you're
there?
at the cat. So what do you want to do now? Do you want to try and like do the pull thing? Do you want to do something else? Like what's the vibe?
I mean, here's the thing: if we kill the cat, it can't kill her, right? Like that's how things tend to work. So I think we're gonna go for the killing blow, and hope that even just that yanking, like, you know, even if we just like grab the sword, that's gonna be enough to knock it out of this moment of killing intent. And if we manage to actually kill it, then problem's done with. You know, easy solution to difficult problems. Yeah, we're gonna go for
I want you to make a vigor roll then for me.
Yes. I would like to tag as part of my like Mud Fury job, because I've been because I know we haven't updated the thing, but I have all the things for it that would be that would be part of that job. I would like to tag Righteous.
You feel like a sense of justice through doing this, and you feel justified, and it's that sense that drives you. So I'm going to say it would be a willpower check instead.
Okay.
It's about the sense of the situation here, rather than the physical strength of it.
Okay, and I think he's this is all what he can do. I won't like tag anything else. Go. Fuck.
A complication. You barely managed to pull it off. I love letting you choose. So, what do you lose hold of? Limnal or the sword?
Oh no.
I mean, he's being righteous, so Limnal.
Oh no.
Limnal is sort of by your side. You swim towards the sword. You move as one unit. You know what your goal is. You establish that. You both grab onto the sword and put your feet against the wet fur of the cat and pull as best you can. You start to feel the sword shift and the body of the cat spasm beneath you. Your leg slips and you accidentally kick out Limnal's feet from underneath him and he goes spinning off into the river.
Oh my god!
The sword has shifted slightly and you sort of wrap your arms around it and are still holding onto the sword, but you look around and you can't see Limnal. In the brief glance you have underwater as you hold your breath and the fire gizzard and all of the other chaos. What do you do now?
I have to finish the job. So I think actually rather than oh, you know what? We're gonna use the drag of the water against this thing. If he inflates his croak pouch, and as part of my job I do have power croak. That training. If he kind of inflates it, he will drag against the water more, which will pull him more back and cause more strain, or just that.
So you're basically just going to keep going. So I'm going to say, without Limnal's help, you have disadvantage. Using this power, you have advantage. So it's a straight roll. You can do willpower or vigor.
I mean, I'm gonna do willpower because it's a greater die. Though honestly, this feels more like a vigor thing at this point because he is using his body. So I'm gonna actually roll vigor, even though, I don't think I don't think he can use willpower because he lost Limnal. So
we love a story moment. Success.
What?
You feel there's the river is surging around you. When you're in the river, it's weird because it sort of is this buffeting, pushing force when you move against it. But things move in the water as a haze. So a cloud moves almost in the water unchanged, occasionally moving as it hits other currents and things. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So as you draw the sword up, blood spurts into the water as a red mist and moves with you in the most perturbing way. You've never hurt a creature like this underwater of such size. There is now...
Sorry.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, can I ask for Pip and for Thistle, that must look horrifying.
If they can see, it's dark.
True.
Yeah, to you, it's dark red on dark blue. If you can even see that, it's just water. Again, and it's also, this cat is spinning and churning and biting. You can't see what's going on. What you can see, Pipistrel, however, is that their roiling forms are coming towards this massive rock in the river. It's heading straight for it. And there's a moment where essentially they are about to impact into this rock. Is there anything you want to do or prepare yourself to do? What is Pipistrel feeling?
Where is Thistle at this point? Are they still on the bank?
I think Thistle's been running alongside with the toads, and Pipistrel took off. I gathered whatever I had. I have this big fire gizzard under my arm, and I'm sprinting, trying to keep up.
Okay. Oh god. I think almost Pip wants to catch them with a rope or something, but she has nothing like that. Nothing nearly that big. I think she just. I don't even know if she knows Thistle's name yet.
No.
Names.
I say you have no clear, and that's fair. This is a chaotic moment. The cat, the turmoil impacts, and this is the situation. Balthazar, you are heaving onto this sword, and then there is a sudden lurch and shift in the world. You go spinning, and you smack onto something hard. All of the air goes just sputtering out of you. Could you just make a quick vigor roll for me straight to see if you keep the fire gizzard in your mouth?
Uh-oh.
Yes, sorry, I was muted. Sorry, that was a straight vigor roll, huh?
This is just like by chance. This is
Yeah.
no tags or anything, yeah.
No!
Oh no!
Gone.
No!
It's, you just, like, you kind of cough up water and air and sort of, like, vomit a little bit onto this rock.
Stop the character's vomit! It's not
Sorry.
that bad. He doesn't have any food. He hasn't eaten. Give him a break. Just let Bubbles escape and goddamn fire gizzards. Thank you.
It goes spinning out, is gone. The cat arches and spins on this rock. You see something horrifying, Pipistrelle. You see the sword carve up its side, get lodged in its spine as it flips in the air.
Oh my god!
And it splashes into the water. You do not see Commander Bethany or Limnal.
I can still see Balthazar.
You can still see Balthazar, who is stunned against the rock and is about to slip back into the river.
Oh god, can I see the fire gizzard that he dropped? Do I see it like floating in the water or being carried away by the current or something?
Okay. Make a cunning check for me to try and track it. That sounds like a really in the moment reactive thing to do.
Just a straight cunning roll, or
unless you want to tag something.
Can I tag my following tracks? I know this is a bit of a stretch, but like, she's learning how to. This is from my scout job, so she's using her eyesight to the best of her ability, or like her ears to see like if she can hear like the little sort of the bloop bloop of the thing against the water.
A little blop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make a roll for me with advantage. A cunning roll.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, dang it! No!
It is kind of hilarious. You do see where it goes. You see it go as it skips across the water and then into the water and then is gone.
Oh, God.
You see roughly where it goes into the water, but it is going to be difficult to retrieve it if possible.
She can't swim. Like, she's a little she's a little fuzzy bat, and like she can't get her wing membrane wet. Let's go back to that episode with the fish.
Let's not.
Let's not do that actually. But I think
in
a moment of I was going to say in a moment of panic, I think she remembers that Thistle has the other fire gizzard. But yeah, let's move on.
In the time you take to track where the fire gizzard went, Balthazar, you slip into the water.
Oh god.
And are now
like
being churned around in the river.
All the water in the river is not drowning in it.
Yeah. I'm gonna say that the impact caused you 1 vigor damage.
Ooh, baby, I'm down to a D4.
And as a combination of consequence, like without the fire gizzard and then coming out of the water and going back in, you take a willpower damage from the cold.
Oh,
dude, I'm trying to kill my character. Like, please.
I mean, maybe. No more Balthazar.
no.
Balthazar 2.
No.
Balthazar's brother.
Brother.
You slip into the water. Suddenly, like the shock of the cold, like it's in your mouth as well, and you feel yourself that lethargic blue haze creeping at the edges of your vision. What are you doing? What is everyone doing?
I think Balthazar knows that in this situation, because this is, part of like the training of Mud Furies, is in a situation like this when you're in the cold and about to slip away, like you will die because, not good. So I think he's gonna use whatever shreds of consciousness that he still has to try and climb his way up this rock jutting out of the river, and get out of the water, because he can pass out, on surface, that's fine. He can't pass out in the water, because he will just be carried down, like,
Yeah.
That's just certain death.
It's
You'll
not
be
the
carried
passing out in the
elsewhere,
water that's
totally.
dangerous. It's where the water takes you and where it will trap you that is dangerous.
Yeah, because he could just get like lodged into silt, whatever. Yeah, that's just one way.
So you're trying to climb out. Thistle, Pipistrel, what are you doing?
I think Thistle can't really see what's been going on, but definitely sees maybe the dark shape of Pipistrel like fluttering about. Hears maybe the clang of the armor hitting the cat and rock. I just dithering about by the shore, trying desperately to see what's happening. I can't really do much from here.
Okay, Pipistrel, what are you doing? I'm just establishing people's like
Like
actions.
a ranged healing spell or something.
Can Pip see Balthazar like climbing out onto the rock?
Yeah, you can see Balthazar struggling in the water.
Okay. Okay. I think the only thing that she can think to do in this moment is she's going to fly down to Balthazar, and like to the best of her ability with her little bat feet, she's going to grab onto the back of his armor or his tunic and just drag him up the rock as best as she can, just to help him out of the water.
So, Balthazar, describe how you're climbing out of the water for me.
Desperately.
Okay, so make a willpower check at advantage.
Thank you, Pipistrel, because I'm guessing Pipistrel's giving me the advantage.
Yeah. Pipistrel's like hauling. You're like, that is a six. It looked like a 2 on the screen, but you rolled a 6. You slip at first, and sort of like are just hauling. Your little toad hands are just slipping over the rock, which is wet and greasy with like moss. But you're hauled just like a little bit higher.
Spaghetti!
And you then you get up onto the rock, and the cool wind swirls around you. You look around. You see with your excellent vision, Pipistrel has hauled you onto the rock. You look over at the bank. You see Thistle, and pause for breath as your heart thunders in your chest, and realize that there is silence aside from the bubbling of water.
Oh no.
And I think there is silence and probably rapidly incoming sleep, as without the fire gizzard, wet from the water and this rushing wind. Balthazar kind of he's still like struggling, and he kind of reaches out like a little downriver, and he says, "Quincy, Lemna, Commander, I'm sorry." And then he succumbs to sleep.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh.
Doesn't have to, but making the choice, go for it.
I mean, honestly, that's just the story moment. He's down to a D4 in vigor. He's down
that makes sense.
All dice in vigor, and he's down by willpower. And I think this was his last thing to act. I think he's done in this scene.
I feel like you sort of just the sleep looks like you sort of like are kind of like huddled, and you're speaking, and it just kind of goes from like Quincy. And just like
no, I think
to like
a record slowing down.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Like the sort of like it goes to like a quiet. Clearly, like you are clearly dead. Pipistrel's looking at you like not dead in the same way that Quincy was.
Yeah.
But like the lethargy overtakes you.
You know what? With her excellent hearing, actually, after he says, "I'm sorry," he kind of takes another very shallow breath, and he says, she can just hear him try to say Lavinia, and then he falls asleep.
Oh. Pip looks like she's confused. You know, like she almost like she looks around in her confusion. She's like, "What, Lavinia?" Like, you know, but she's like in this moment she's so worried for her friend, and like she's never seen him like fall asleep like this before. She's never seen him in this kind of cold. But she kind of she yells across the river to Thistle. It's like I think just in desperation, is like, can you see the others?
What?
The others, do you hear them? Do you see them?
Looking around, I can't see shit with my little lizard eyes.
Oh.
I'd say make a cunning roll at disadvantage.
Cunning roll. Let me do that. Haven't rolled yet today.
Oh.
Boop, boop. Ah, damn.
Success and complication. You barely managed to pull it off, but not without consequence. So I feel like this is the interesting scenario that comes up. You look around and you see what you think is a small form by the side of the river, and you run over, and it twitches, and you realize it's much bigger than you thought. The cat has washed up at the side of the river further down. I'm not going to move your character off of the map because this is all of the map I got, sorry. But like you move down the river towards it, it shifts once, and then goes still. Yes, the cat is in front of you.
As is my duty as a stitcher, I am going to try and from a distance assess if there's anything I can do to help.
You sort of take a very slow and cautious walk around. Make a cunning roll for me. It sounds like to assess.
Can I tag triaging?
Yeah, you're trying to see if there's any time worth spent here. Or make the roll with advantage.
Ooh,
okay,
yay.
6.
Come on.
Six is good. 6 is good. You got it. You are looking at the cat, and you see that like the wound in the side, going from the ribs up to like the top of the back. No. Like a wet cat, cold water. It's already been fighting. You put to one side that this patient is gone. You take a moment to look over the cat, and you realize how gaunt this cat is. Now that it's wet, it's almost all bone. There's no muscle. It's all sinew. There's no fat or excess muscle. It's just malevolence that drove this thing.
Is there anything I can do to put it out of its misery?
You notice that like one eye is like half open and just looking at you. Its mouth, there's a scar on its mouth that you can't really see much of in the darkness, but it kind of keeps it's split the lip and reveals the jaw and the teeth. And the teeth are just clamped shut. And the cat is just looking at you.
I am gonna creep a little closer. Just if I can't do anything physically to, help this cat along. I don't want it to just lie here and suffer till it dies. But I want it to know that it's in its last moments. There was someone there for it, so I'll creep closer and put a little claw against its side and just kind of like have as much of a moment as I can with this cat.
Okay. When you say its side, what part of the body are you putting your claw in? Like, where are you in position of this cat?
I'm kind of picturing like its upper flank, so maybe like under one of its forearms, like its side around its belly. You kind of go up to
one of its forearms above the paw and put your claw against it, and you kind of look at the cat, and the cat's looking at you. How do you feel in this moment? What connection do you think you make with this cat?
I'm like, whatever conflict the toads and the bat had with this cat is none of my business. And as the cat comes from the island that I was just on, I'm like, well, obviously this creature had some connection to the castle, some connection to the stuff that I was here for. So I'm feeling a sense of loss, not just for myself, but whatever happened to this castle and the creatures that used to live in it was obviously terrible if this is the result. So I'm sort of mourning that this cat that was being celebrated in all these tapestries has fallen so low.
Are there any other more derisive thoughts knocking around?
It is a claw licker. Which I'm like,
Maybe the cat was always going to do this.
Yeah, as a stitcher, I do have to like extend my my goodwill to most creatures, but it is kind of like maybe a sense of justice for what's happened, a reluctant sense of justice.
You feel a sense that you have your own thoughts and that they are hidden somewhere inside Thistle. And they're yours. And then there's a slight sense of intrusion. You look, and it's like this cat sees you and your thoughts, and it closes its eyes. And then a few moments later goes slack.
Mm. I'll leave it be.
They're gone. They've gone elsewhere.
Yeah.
You look around the rest of the river and you don't see either of the toads.
I'll head back to the shore where I can see Pipistrelle and shout over that I can't. No one's survived, to my knowledge. Or no, I won't say no one survived, but I can't see anyone.
Pip quietly, she kind of closes her eyes and she looks at Balthazar. And in like just this weird moment of grief and of panic, she just kind of, you have to bear with me, like she kind of like, with her warm mammalian body, she kind of like climbs on top of him, like rests her wings over him, and it kind of tries to warm him up and says quietly, he's like, at least we still have you. And she just sort of sits there and kind of tears start spilling out of her eyes and kind of rolling down her fur, like onto Balthazar's armor, and she just kind of lies there for a minute and she's just willing him to wake up. She's just desperate for him to wake up.
Mm-hmm. There is the passage of time. It's this strange sense. I feel like maybe your moment with the cat is longer than you expected, Thistle.
Mm-hmm.
Your moment, Pipistrelle, with Balthazar is longer than you expected.
Mm.
And the sky is very slowly turning from dark black to a sort of oozing grey bruise. It's mostly, you can see in the kind of the shapes and the textures, it's a sort of like lightly overcast day with a slight drizzle. But a day is dawning slowly.
Mm. I think
in more of like an hour by hour sense, what do you guys want to try and do now?
I think if I see, I'm going to just assume that Pipistrelle and I have communicated that she's going to warm Balthazar up.
Yeah.
I've got the fire gizzard. I'm just going to curl up by the shore and have a proper sleep.
Okay. Pipistrelle, Balthazar, what do you want to try and do?
I think Pip kind of every now and then, like she's like lying on Balthazar to try and warm him up. But I think also by the hour by hour, seeing that Thistle has gone to sleep, she's gone over. She's made a very small fire pit, made another very small fire next to Thistle, so they can sleep, but they can stay warm as well. Because she's very concerned about she's suddenly having to deal with a bunch of cold-blooded creatures, and she doesn't know what to do. So she's just So she's like, all right, I'll build them a fire, and then I'll go back to Balthazar. She's just she's just waiting for Balthazar to wake up. She's just like lying on top of him, sharing her body heat with him, and is trying to. She's just in her head. She's just saying, please, please, please come back. Please wake up.
I feel, Pipistrelle, that you've stayed. Have you stayed dire in all these last few months?
Kind of. It's sort of she's maybe not as diurnal as she was in the first chapter, but she certainly would be more diurnal than nocturnal at this stage.
So like you're like an afternoon dusk kind of person.
Yeah.
Okay, that's like your main waking hours. So I'm gonna say, without meaning to, you sort of doze a bit. Balthazar, you warm up, you doze. Thistle, you sleep. Each of you can choose one ability die and raise it back to its base as you have an adequate rest.
Oh, good.
Base?
To
like,
base,
even if I have a D4 from a D10?
Yep. So one die to its base. So not all three, but one die.
Yeah.
My vigor is back, hooray!
I'm be real, I don't think I can raise my vigor after getting, like, beat up. I think I'm gonna raise my willpower just for the morale boost if I'm alive. But I don't think this rest can help the fact that I was just messed up by that cat and by this rock.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm only gonna raise my
that.
willpower.
I had nothing to raise. I was A-okay.
Untouched.
This was like, yeah. Let's just have a cat nap. Oh no.
Oh no! Too soon, Brian!
Jesus!
My god, have a little respect for the guy. Just. Oh my goodness. Unbelievable.
You're gonna say that I just killed him, but it was you?
Well, you decided that he could have been alive there.
Could be nice. Okay, well, so. I have a day version of this map, but I didn't draw one that was all messed up and wrecked, so we're just going to keep using this map for reference for now. But moving towards like an hour-by-hour play, what do you guys want to do? Balthazar, as you wake up, I'm going to say that with like the temperature of the water rises a couple degrees with the day, and with Pipistrelle's help, you'd be able to sort of like half swim, half move across the surface to the other side and warm up on the fire, so you can cross over.
I will say that I think, because you say that dawn kind of started nearing, and I imagine that probably it's with the first kind of light of day hitting Pipistrelle, but then giving this nice kind of warm glow, through the like membrane of her wings that wakes Balthazar, and there's kind of this strange sensation of like, because just the warmth that a warm body accumulates and the wings, where it's like this very cozy feeling, and for a moment perhaps these dormant dreams of summer feel real, until he realizes that it's not summer, but it is the warmth of his friend. And he's gonna kind of start stirring and blinking blearily as his scene in this entire place started with waking up, so he had a proper sleep probably no more than a few hours ago. So he's gonna be ready to like be properly diurnal. He's gonna kind of start stirring, and I think he's actually, he's gonna say that out loud to Pip, the thing about summer. He's going to say, goodness, here I thought it's the first rays of summer again, but just the presence of a good old friend.
Oh, I think Pip, like, I think just with the exhaustion of everything, I think she has been kind of like, she's been like dozing, she's kind of been sleeping and then checking on the fire and then going back to Balthazar, and like she's been kind of like, she basically like fell asleep on top of him for a little bit. So like hearing his voice, she's like, and she doesn't say anything, but she's so, oh my god, she's so relieved that he's awake. And she says like, oh, why, I can't believe I would ever have wished for those summer days.
Oh, with this coming of autumn, I certainly wish for them every evening. What? I don't know how long. The sun's already rising. What of the others?
Oh God. She climbs like basically off him.
Yeah.
But she kind of extends a hand and she kind of puts it over like Balthazar's hand, and says, "We lost them." Because she doesn't know what else to say. She doesn't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't know if they died, but and she just kind of looks. She kind of looks into his face and is trying to figure out, like, how to break that. She's trying to figure out how to say it in the nicest way that she can. She doesn't want to upset him, but also she needs to. Unlike what happened with Quincy, she wants to relay it properly. That, like, she doesn't know where they are, and she doesn't know if they're alive.
Yeah. Balthazar, I think, kind of looks at her and just kind of slowly nods. And starts kind of slowly getting up best he can, and kind of wordlessly he's going to look down the river, maybe spotting the shape of the motionless cat at the distance.
Definitely in the light. Like, the cat is downstream, maybe like here-ish, comparative to you guys.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in the morning light, you see the hilt of Lavinia's sword buried in its back. It is definitely dead.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
I think, he just kind of lets out a similar, like, kind of shivering, like, inhale and exhale. And he says, even in the Boer Wars, these victories always felt hollow. Kind of looks over to where the fire is, presumably with Thistle, maybe seeing their little silhouette. And he says, well, I see that our cold-blooded cousin is still here. He looks over at the castle and kind of thinking, like, not sure, like, what to do. And then I think he kind of, to help him get up fully, or, like, kind of walk to the edge of the stone, he's going to grab the flycatcher off his back and kind of plant it in the ground and kind of right himself a little bit. And as he does, he's going to, like, take that flycatcher and kind of turn its tilt a little bit, letting the light, or just seeing the light kind of disperse off of its smooth edge. And he says, well, even if it's me on my own, we've begun something, and it's something that must be finished. Something that a truth must be found. I still feel like I need to rest for a little bit. Let's go to the shore best we can, best I can, and perhaps catch up, everyone.
She nods silently, and she kind of, I think because he's gonna have to swim across the river, right, to, like, get to the fire.
Yeah.
As I said,
So, like,
you can make it across and warm up. It's not like a dangerous activity.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
no stress now.
But I think even in just, like, even though she knows that, like, he's strong enough that he can get across the river, I think she kind of
As in, like, I assume you will help him. You don't have to worry about that.
Oh yeah, like, that's what she's doing. Like, she's gonna be, like, flying up, like, just flying kind of just above, or, like, and she will help him out at the other side of the bank.
Because he doesn't need to walk. He can swim, so he can kind of gently, like, inflate the croak pouch and kind of, with a careful but strong kind of breaststroke, just get to the other side without being swept down.
Yeah, exactly. But she's gonna help.
And then, he's, as soon as we're in front of the fire, he's kind of gonna huddle up to it again, and look over at Thistle. And say, well, I don't know about you, cousin, but this certainly is a fine mess we've all found ourselves in.
I'll with the commotion of Balthazar and Pipistrel sort of like, coming to shore and settling down, I guess Thistle has woken up.
Mm-hmm. I'd say in this time you've been able to go through and inspect your bag, and it's at this point you realise that in the massive soaking in the river, you have been able to dry out your bandages and most of your supplies, but your journal of your own personal notes is sodden, and all of your letters of credit are ruined.
No!
Yup.
Shit. I totally did not think about your bag when I decided that we're walking. I'm sorry.
The only thing that you have remaining are, because they're letters, you do have wax seals. So I'm going to go into your inventory and replace what you once had as the letters of credit. I'm going to say you have guild seals. So you still have intact wax seals. It's just like all of the letters they're stuck to are like just blurred and ruined and
yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're on pieces of bark. They're on pieces of thin bark, so they don't mush like paper does. Like they've curled, but like all of the ink has run off of them.
Right. I'm like taking stock, and I'm like tending to my goods, tending to my inventory. When Balthazar speaks, I'm like, yeah, it's a strange one. It's an odd one. You're right. Maybe too cheery a greeting for such a somber occasion, but.
Wait, was that you or was that Thistle saying?
Sorry, Thistle saying, yeah. They didn't say the somber thing, but they said.
Okay, yes. I think Balthazar just kind of like takes a moment to basically like, be aware of his body, looks downstream, looks over at Quincy's body still at the shore and says, I've been better.
Oh, God. This is breaking my heart.
He's gonna kind of settle down next to the fire and says, I still need to warm up a bit, but there are rites to be tended to. And he kind of says that, like, once again, stealing a glance over at Quincy. He says, and while I do recover best I can, we never quite had a chance to properly talk, Pipistrel, but why is it that you are here, and you, friend, what's your name? Forgive me, we didn't really have time for proper introductions.
No,
he says this to Thistle.
Bit of a chaos back there. I'm Thistle of Holdall. I'm a Stitcher. Hold out my little claw for a handshake.
Oh.
Balthazar shakes your little claw, and says, Stitcher, yes, we met a member of your guild before. Remember, Pipistrel? This was in Aspen Grace, if I remember correctly, a little mole called Hiccup.
Oh, Hiccup, yeah, best of friends, me and Hiccup, best of friends.
Well, if he regards you as a friend, then so shall I. So, Thistle, how is it that you have found yourself in this, what we thought was abandoned place?
Well, I was heading for the library. Your friend here, Pipistrel! What was your name?
Pipistrel!
Big name for a small bat. I was just saying, I was travelling here looking to speak to whoever's tending to the library, but not there anymore. And yourself, what are you doing here?
Balthazar kind of like looks around. Once again, looks at Quincy, looks downstream. No mud furies here, but he is among friends, and he knows he can trust Pip, and if Hiccup was best of friends with Thistle, then surely they are a trustworthy person. He kind of takes a moment, he says, there have been concerning things happening in the woods. all the way from north to south over here. We've been trying to find the root of these problems. They all seem to have a common thread. Members of a guild called the Knowers, who all curiously seem to be just magpies. They seem to...
Do I know about the Knowers?
You have heard of the Knowers and never seen a magpie. You know that magpies look like crows. You know someone's described a magpie to you a couple times. You've heard rumors of Knowers, but it's kind of like a ghost story.
Right.
But in a way that you know it's real, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like pirates.
Yes.
Everyone knew pirates were real, but you might have never met one, you know?
Yes, okay.
So Balthazar kind of continues saying, there's been an alarming change in places where the involvement of these Knowers caused a shift in how beasts conduct themselves. These Knowers would meddle in the way of things that would... Sorry, I said that sentence kind of wrong. The Knowers would meddle in the way of things, uprooting traditions and dispositions that have served us fine for us, many beasts fine for many years. The reason that us toads have been looking into it is because, well, some of these Knowers have caused a upset among toad logs, toad kind. You see, we all get along very fine, and our ways have been the way that they have been for as long as anyone can remember, because it served us right. And then some sinister ideas were suggested, and more sinister actions followed. A covetous envy was incepted among some members of our logs, and it has caused otherwise upstanding folk to fall from grace all too eagerly. And this castle, whatever happened here, well, some of the things that we have been finding out, I would not be surprised if the peaceful life of this community was also poisoned by malicious words from the Knowers. Whatever knowledge that they accumulate, they seem to... Well, we don't know to what end they're using it, but they're very good at wielding this knowledge and manipulating others. If it is... Well, perhaps it is no coincidence that a place that holds so much knowledge as an enormous library that you seek, dear Thistle, found itself the subject of ruin. After all, if the Knowers hold all the knowledge, they will have power over others, wouldn't they? Who knows what the truth is but them, if they're the ones who wield the only truth?
Thistle is absolutely enraptured by this story. This is just such a large creature as a toad telling this almost spooky story after this horrible thing that's all just happened. They're in complete awe of Balthazar.
And
right,
sorry.
No, you can continue.
Because kind of Thistle asked Balthazar why he's here, and then he kind of turned to Pipistrel and say, "Well, that's my reason. Well, it was our reason, but now I think it might be solely mine." He kind of gives an uneasy glance towards Quincy, kind of alluding that that's why his whole group was here, and now this mission is just his. And he looks over to Pipistrel and says, And you, my dear Pipistrel, truly a sight for sore eyes. I really cannot understate that. And meeting you here of all places in the middle of the mission, no less. I'm sorry that we lost track of each other a few weeks ago. These events that I mentioned, they were of utmost secrecy and of utmost concern. I've been traveling from north all the way to south here, and had nary a moment to try to reach out to you, even if I wanted to. And yet, here we found ourselves once again, and, well, now you know my story. How about yours?
She's kind of sitting, like, looking at the embers in the fire, and, like, she sort of wrapped her wings round herself, in the cold dawn of the morning, and, like, she takes a minute to really think about what she's going to say. She's trying. I think Pipistrel's quite a kind of. She does kind of wear her heart on her sleeve, so I think both of you would get a sense of, like, she is deciding what to say, and deciding how much to say, and she kind of replies with, I was searching for I was searching for someone, I guess, in a way. Or maybe I was searching for nobody at all. I don't know yet. She kind of pauses and then says, like, I just happened to stop here in my journey. I was heading south, and this area was dry and abandoned, and I needed a place to rest for the night, and to make my maps. And she kind of reaches into her her bag, which has been strapped over her back, and she pulls out, like, some of, like, the little maps that she's been making. They're all kind of, like, on, like, bits and pieces of paper. She hasn't got, like, proper, like, rolls of like, parchment or paper or anything like that, but she has, like, scraps that she's picked up from places, and, like, all of them have, like, little illustrations of, like, you know, areas that she's been to, and, like, little maps of things that she's flown over, etc. And she kind of shows them to...
I feel like, sort of,
yeah,
like a traditional nerd sense, like, you scatter these maps out, you start arranging them, and they all, like, overlap in places, and it's sort of like this meandering journey of where you've been flying. And it's a very different route to the journey that you took, Balthazar, but it has an equally sort of, like, here and there, and then doubling back, and then, yeah.
Thistle sees him and goes, oh, map maker then.
She looks at Thistle and smiles and shakes her head. She sort of says, you know, more like a new hobby, I guess.
A hobby? Right, okay. It's not weird. That's not saying it, but that's a bit weird.
Mm.
That's a job for the guilds, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Alenta, can you remind me if Pipistrel had openly left the Guild of Messengers at the end of last season where Balthazar knew about it, or is that her own quiet decision?
That was 2 weeks after...
2 weeks after
Balthazar left.
Right,
So...
yeah, in that case, Balthazar will very proudly chime in and say, oh, no, Pipistrel here is part of the Moon Messengers. Absolutely marvelous. It is thanks to her moon messaging that we met. What a great tale that is. Perhaps a tale for another time. It is quite long and meandering, but full of very, very fond memories. Yes. He kind of
Fantastic.
smiles.
Yeah, I know quite a few of those myself. Do you not wear your crest or anything then? Because I'm scanning. Don't see the guild crest.
You sort of both look, and you have seen this very prominently and proudly, but around Thistle's neck is a dark red clay tablet, small, like it's a crest, on a like a cord necklace of 3 needles bent and curved, the sign of the stitches.
Yes.
And it stands very starkly against the sort of patched and slightly baggy blue robes that Thistle wears.
Pip now kind of looks visibly uncomfortable, and she is trying to decide what to say to them.
And I think on that sort of, in a cinematic sense, in that very uncomfortable silence of, well, the camera pans up from the campfire onto Castle Shallot as the sun is rising in the sky and dawn is very much declared its presence. And we're going to end today's session. We'll continue this general scene next week. So, yeah, thank you for joining me today, guys.
Thanks for killing more toads.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks.
I'm not going to confirm or deny anything.
A dead toad.
Oh my god.
Thanks.
Yeah, this season, I mean, we've had the heydays of summer, we're now moving on to the violence of autumn.
Fucking apparently.
Yeah, clearly.
I mean, this is something we were talking about before the stream, but like, we have each of us seen birds actively just fighting each other in the trees around Edinburgh.
Yeah.
So, it's fight time.
Fight night, but
Fight.
Yeah.
night
It's
is
literally fight night.
Fight season. It's
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Okay.
Oh,
well, I think we should reintroduce ourselves before we sign off. I am Brian. I use he, him pronouns. I run Dungeons on a Dime. I have been your narrator for today's adventure. Next episode, we will be seeing the south of the Bristley Woods as you guys move on wherever you decide to move to. And what
if we decide to
Spoilers.
go north? I'm going
What?
north, baby.
Going
I'm going
north?
back home. I'm done.
Okay.
I'm done.
The end. Balthazar retires.
Yeah, Balthazar was like, well, that's enough killing for me.
Goodbye.
Goodbye,
And
buddy.
Balthazar, just you dig a hole and you bury yourself like, right, I'll be here until spring. Goodbye.
Yeah. Goodbye, everybody.
Yeah. Atlanta, would you like to reintroduce yourself?
Yes. Hello, everybody. I have been the most suspicious bat you've ever met at Atlanta, otherwise known as Alpaca Scribbles, at Twitter, alpaca_scribbles on Instagram. Nothing sort of major to plug at the moment, aside from I do have commissions open if you are interested. Please take a look. Other than that, Brian, thank you for a wonderful game, continuing the madness that is the really tumultuous start to this campaign.
I got started
Jumping in the deep end.
Yeah,
God, I know, right? And thank you to both wonderful Eve and Perfect Ver for being amazing players as usual. So fun. It's so nice to actually kind of start to get to know Thistle and have conversations with them, and I'm excited. Yeah.
Thank you
Great.
very much. Also, just like, because it's the opportunity, you could say that you guys have been rolling in the deep.
How dare you?
It's a funny. How funny am I?
Funny.
You were on a scale from 1 to 10. You're funny. What am I kidding? You're funny. You're at like the 10 out of 10. My goodness.
Yay!
You're excellent.
Thank you.
And I will take that opportunity to continue with reintroducing myself. I have been Based Pieps, everybody. I have been Ver. You can find me on social media, on Twitter under Verface, on Tumblr under Sticks and Sharks, and you can support me on Patreon at Verface. I have sort of one thing to plug, which is that I'm actually opening commissions probably later today. If anyone, the whole 3 people listening, one of whom is me, might be so inclined to have a character commission, you can probably dawdle on over to my social medias, on Tumblr and Twitter, and see what the offers are. So that's about it. Brian, thank you very much for what Atlanta said. This absolutely just wild start of season 2. It's been nonstop. Hopefully we catch a break next week, but maybe we won't. We just don't know. Eve and Atlanta, thank you so much for being fantastic co-players, co-guests. I know that we haven't like seen much of Thistle because it's been. I'm inclined to apologize that it's been so much like toad action, but hey, most of them are dead now, so don't worry about that anymore.
Wow!
I've been just Thistle's disposition of like, hey mate, dead, has been a delight. I'm really excited to learn more about them, and also Pip's secrets are piling on. I am very curious, really fascinated, and I love that our characters have, it took a few weeks for them to grow apart, and they have to find out these new things about each other that they didn't know were there. It's very, very exciting, and I'm absolutely riveted for the continuation of this extremely awkward conversation that they're having right now.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that wonderful praise that I totally instigated, and the rest of it was nice as well.
I could have, just built you up, but I could have tore you down. You put that power into my hands, my friend.
It is a constant back and forth between us. Last but not least, please take us out, Eve.
Hi, I have been Eve, and I will remain Eve, probably. My pronouns are they and he. I have been playing Thistle, who is the lizard who definitely didn't kill a bunch of toads to get more screen time. And yeah, thank you. Like every session, thank you for having me, and I'm really excited to continue this burgeoning friendship that I'm sure is going to stay friendly forever and ever, and we'll never fall out. We'll be best of friends.
It's gonna be great.
It'll be fine.
Aww.
We're going on adventures.
We're gonna go have a happy little. This is all the death. This is all the misery out of the way for the whole season. I'm sure.
Like we've done the sacrifice, we've done the blood toll, and now it's like sunshine and rainbows.
Next week we're gonna collect flowers and have like a race or something. It's gonna be fun.
On that note, on that hope, we will see you next Thursday. Bye for now.
Goodbye, everybody.